365. McDonald McMullen, joined by, there he is, Chris Franklin, looking good and ready to rock on championship week. Franklin, what was the highlight of Saturday's beatdown of the New York Giants for you?
I don't know. It could have been the fireworks that were going off pregame from one of the parking lots. It could have been, I don't know, the double bird that Eli Manning got during
Yeah, that was probably the funnest part. Eli was a good sport too.
And how about Peyton's kid threw on an Eagles jersey just to pimp his uncle? How good was that?
I'm liking the little dynamic that's developing between them two. I know we're going to have like a third generation of Mannings. Might as well start seeing some of the characters now and see what they bring. So I like that kid already.
Yeah, cool. We're going to see, what's his name? Cooper's son this year coming up in Texas. He's supposed to be the real deal.
Yeah, Arch.
Yeah. Arch.
Yeah, Arch, man.
I think he's going to be all right.
I think he's already making more money at Texas than he's going to make as a rookie in the NFL. But
yeah, he's going to be a super senior all of a sudden. I could use another year of eligibility. My knee's achy right now, guys.
Yeah. I'm not ready to go to the NFL and take a pay cut. Yeah. Some point, sometime, somebody's going to say that. I guarantee you.
Yeah. Well, isn't there a guy who's like 8 years in now? I think he's like a 10
the guy who just transferred to Notre Dame. He's been playing since the 1940s.
When I ran the straight T, it was all right there.
Spencer Rattler's going back, right?
Yeah, Spencer Rattler's going back.
He was supposed to come out 4 years ago, but somehow he's still got college eligibility.
Yeah, he was supposed to be the number one pick 7 years ago. Number one overall pick. Yeah.
He might be. South Carolina's. I might be a little biased because I know one of my friends is his son plays there, but they've been going up. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like in the top 10 next year. They have a good team.
We've been saying that for 3 years. It's going to happen.
With the third pick in the draft, the 49ers take 27-year-old Spencer Rattler. I don't think he's going to be in the top 10.
It is going to happen. But let's talk about the divisional round. First, we'll start at home. Surprised how, I guess you have to be surprised a little bit about how dominant the Eagles were. I thought they were going to win the game pretty easily, but that's as complete a game as you can play in the NFL. Is there any nitpicking you can do about that game?
I guess the only nitpicking you really do is like wishing they would score a little bit more toward the second half. Like they started doldrums, but we've seen this all year with the team. We expect it when they get up big, they just run they run. It's like an extended 4-minute drive they have, and it starts when they come out to the locker room at halftime. That's the only thing I could really go at them for it. But looking at the way they came out, they didn't show any signs of rust. They came out, they looked real effective on offense. You saw like the first 15 plays, it established like the identity of that game. It kind of helped that Brian Dable gave him that fourth down. But overall, it's tough to find something. I think they played one of their best games of the season, a really complete game.
Oh, I'll give you a nitpick if you want one, and feel free to say, "Shut up, Jody." Jake Elliott isn't getting the ball into the end zone, and the Giants ran it out past the 30 a couple of times. Now, that's not a terrible thing because it keeps coming after scores. The Eagles kept getting touchdown after touchdown after touchdown, so they kicked off a lot, and Jake didn't quite get touchbacks. But the Giants did take it out over the 30 a handful of times during that game. Could that be an issue, Chris Franklin?
No. I don't think it's so much.
I didn't think so. That's why I said nitpick.
The only thing I thought was interesting when you look at the Kyron Johnson aspect of it, he was out. He was one of the main guys that's been out there for special teams. They've used else a little bit more. I thought maybe they were going to use Anthony Harris in that role a little bit, but like they were just trying to give him a game check. But hey, you're elevated. Yeah, you're elevated. Congrats. Yeah, you're out. Thanks.
Hey, I like that. A lot of it, but the Giants have been doing that as well. They elevate guys to get them a game check and say they've been doing, hard work on the practice squad. I like that. The Eagles did that for Anthony Harris. But I got to tell you, man, they like Reed Blankenship. I think Reed has obviously played better than we all expected, but this would be a nice week to get Avonte Maddox back. It really would. I mean, all San Francisco does is throw the football over the middle of the field. And they have guys like Ayuk and Samuel and Christian McCaffrey and Kittle that can break tackles and get yards after catch. Boy, it'd be nice to have Avonte Maddox and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in the middle of the field for this particular team.
Yeah, it is. You took the words out of my mouth. I'm thinking like, you know what? The way the Giants were trying to do that early on, trying to attack wherever he was, and then he's got up to his cause. But when you look at that receiving core, it's not as good as the 49ers, obviously. When you look, I look at the intermediate games being how the Eagles defense wins or loses that game. There's going to be a lot of crossing routes that goes around there. They're going to try to use confusion. They're going to try to use, you see Kittle going across the middle there. And it would help to have Avonte Maddox because not only can he get you a good jam or within that first 5 yards cover him very well. I like the fact of having Chauncey Gardner-Johnson being able to roll up in case you get Kittle trying to go in the middle of the field, or Ayuk, one of those guys, even Debo Samuel, one of those guys go in the middle, having him matched up against that. So I think it's going to be key. He looked a little bit like he seemed like, and this is really looking small, but when he was jogging off the field at the end of the game, just saying how you doing, like when they were saying hi, he's jogging off the field, he looked all right. And that's way too deep in the weeds in it. But if he's able to go, that's a huge boost in their chances to win that game on Sunday.
All right. Trying to project a little bit, head to Sunday. Eagles offense against the 49ers defense. They were number 2 in the NFL this year in yards per game. They're just a very difficult team to run on. You saw it yesterday with the Cowboys. And I know Pollard going out handicapped them, so you do have to factor that in. But the Cowboys didn't run it worth a damn yesterday. And most teams this year against the 49ers have not been able to do that. But they can be had in the pass. Jalen Hurts up for a 300-yard game against San Francisco this week?
So many times we talk about the team run. They need to establish a run. I think this is the week you let it air out. I think the Eagles have the weapons that are necessary to attack that deep seven. Listen, Charvarius Ward, he does a decent job. For what he is, and on the cornerback on the edge right there. But when you look at the receiving core that these Eagles have on the outside, I think that can be that can really tip the scales of balance on offensively when they do that. And to do that, do they say that, hey, throw 45 times against the team? No, because you don't want to expose Hurts to being hit over and over again because you figure he's going to get a couple runs or scrambles with it there as well too. So I think this is the game you let it go and watch out for Dallas Goedert. You're pretty sure that everybody, all the talk's going to be about Kittle. Goddard's going to want to say, you know what, I'm among the best tight ends as well, too. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets in the mix and has an impact in this game.
Did you make anything about A.J. Brown's reaction after the game that so many are making a big deal of? I haven't seen that from A.J. all season. I mean, we did see it with Stephon Diggs in Buffalo. You almost expect it out of receivers that when they don't get the football, they start to get a little bit antsy. I haven't seen that with AJ. Do you think people are making too much out of it? The Eagles ran for 268 yards. That's what Shane Steichen does. If you're not going to stop it, you know what Shane says, Chris. I can't say it on. Actually, I can. A lot of F-bombs. I'm going to keep up and do it. I'm going to keep up and doing it. They ran for 268 yards. They're going to keep doing it.
I think it's something, but I don't think it's that much. I mean, it's a big stage. It's the playoff game. It's divisional round. Everybody's watching. You're the only game at the time, so he's going to want the ball. He's going to want to show everybody, he's one of the top 2-3 wide receivers in this league. And when I look at that, I was like, I think it kind of made me wonder, like when they tried that. They tried to get him the ball deep, but I thought he was a little more hurt than anything, frustrated because he's hurt. Because he got up slowly. When he got off that first tackle, he got slowly. Then they tried that deep route in the end zone that he missed, and he got up slowly again and frustrated. I'm looking at that. I'm thinking like, all right, I don't know if it's that, but I wouldn't look too much into it. Now, if halfway through the game it's 10-10 and this team is in a dogfight and it's the same type of production, then I'm starting to get a little worried about it a little bit too. And you can maybe have Jalen go over there, Nick say something to him, but I'm not too overly concerned of it as of right now.
Wide receivers acting like divas? Shocking. That never happens in the NFL. Here's why I think it's okay. A.J. Brown's a smart guy. and he's got football savvy, and he had to understand that. Let's see, the Eagles are up 7-0, 14-0, 21-0. Is the clock an element of the game? Oh yeah, you want to run the clock? You're up by 3 freaking touchdowns. Of course, that's what Shane Steichen's going to do. Much like I described the Jags and the Giants, after you get over the pain of the loss, you take a step back and go, we had a pretty damn good year. After he gets over the fact that he didn't get the ball thrown to him enough as much as he may have wanted, he's going to take a step back and go, damn, we got the 49ers coming in, and they're better against the run than they are against the pass. I guess I better get ready to have a big game on Sunday. A.J. Brown will be fine, and he'll probably have a big game against the 49ers this week. All right, the accomplishment of the entire coaching staff. Credit to Steichen, credit to Gannon. The defense was great. And Nick Sirianni, the guy who runs the whole shoot match. How important a win was this for him? 2 years in, having a tremendous run as the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, 1-loss record, everything else. But the playoffs are a different animal. And now he's gotten his first playoff win, and it's a blowout win against the Giants. How big is that for Sirianni?
Well, I think it was huge the fact they actually just won the playoff game, because coming off the effort they had last year against the Buccaneers, this team needed to show some type of improvement, because if you were one and done, especially with this team and this roster the way it's currently constructed, it would have been
to
bad.
This team. Oh, there would have been some angst. I told Jody last week I would kill this team if they lost to the New York Giants. Now, there's levels. Now we're in the NFC Championship game. The Eagles are facing a very good opponent, but this was a nice matchup for the Eagles, the New York Giants. I can't even imagine a loss, but if there was a loss, it would have erased everything, wouldn't it? The entire season.
It would have just been, remember that time when it was just been, remember when like you got, and then I think he's coming in, entering the season next year. They lost a game on a hot seat automatically because you basically schemed your way against that Giants team that we saw. If you lost to that, the way that would have been bad. But I think for them, I think it would have been. I also think maybe one of the coordinators they would have happily let go one of the coordinators if that happened as well too. But I look at the way I think that was important just for a mindset. It settles them in now. It gets them used. They got some used to the playoff experience a little bit more, and I think overall, yeah, that was huge for them, and it was just huge.
Instead of after the game, I thought it was kind of weird that Nick went out of his way to defend Jonathan Gannon. He was talking about other coaches. Other coaches ask him, Jonathan Gannon gets shit in Philadelphia? And he's like, yeah, all the time. And evidently he's on his spot, his contractually obligated spot. Should come on Birds 365, Nick, but we'll talk about that in the offseason. And he had all these statistics thrown out to defend Jonathan Gannon. Why do you think he's doing that?
The funny thing would be he wore that Dream Chasers chain, and now he thinks he's part of a crew, and he's sticking up for one of his boys. But that would be my thing. But overall, when you look at the way he does it, I think he got tired in that whole thing of they don't listen. I think he's been listening all the time. Coaches swear that, oh no, we don't listen to what the media is saying.
Yeah,
and I think he was just waiting for y'all take this and stick it somewhere. But yeah, he does it. He always talks about connecting and everything else, and I think that's one of his ways of doing that. That somebody messes with one of his guys, he's gonna stick up for them. So I think he's been waiting to do that for a while, and the fact that they had that performance in a playoff game, and especially after what he was hearing after the Saints game, letting them get a drive and everything, I think he's been waiting for a while now just to to have that coming back there.
All right. Again, need some crystal ball stuff for this upcoming game against the Niners, which I think the better option is passing than running. But off the game that they had, you're not just going to chuck the running game. Miles, 17 for 90. Kenneth Gainwell, 12 for $112, including the late touchdown run, which, by the way, great blocking downfield by the wide receivers. Believe it or not, Quez and also Nick's favorite former Indianapolis Colt, both did a great job blocking downfield. Will Kenneth Gainwell be as big a part of the game plan this week as he was this past week against the Giants?
I think he will be, just because of the fact that they throw the ball more, he's going to be on the field more. And I think they look at the there's some options, there's some chances they'll have, especially in the flat area. Like I've done some early watching, but not just yesterday, but early watching. That flat area can be a big area that Gainwell can attack, and I like his chances. Especially he looks a lot more confident now. That's one thing I noticed from him as well. He looks a lot more confident. He's when he gets the ball in his hands, he runs with a lot of purpose. So if they decide to do, and I'm not saying like, hey, throw some screens, but hey, just run some clear out routes, run AJ Brown down the field, run Zach Pascal down the field, and just get him singled up 1-on-1 in that zone and have the linebacker to go out against them. I think they like that. They like that matchup very well. So yeah, I think he can play a big role in that aspect. The run game is, I think it's. I would be shocked if the team ran like 25 times per period, and then he gets like maybe 30% of the carries.
I mean, that was, effectiveness wise. I mean, probably not. He's not going to go for 112, but he's always a big part of the game plan because he's the third down back and the hurry up back. So Kenny's always going to be a big part of it. But the one thing that the 49ers have the best tandem of linebackers in the NFL. I mean, Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, and even the third one, Al Shire, is tremendous. And then you talk about Nick Bosa and D'Amico Ryans. Eagles fans very familiar with him. This is the only defense that was technically better than the Eagles defense. Lane Johnson, amazing performance. Torn groin muscle, had 27 pass pro attempts according to Pro Football Focus. Nothing. Zip. Pitched a shutout against the Giants. But you could see he was struggling a little bit. And this time he's got Nick Bosa, who is the best pass rusher in the NFL, who is going to be the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. You worried a little bit that Lane's not healthy?
I think so. I think earlier on, especially, I got worried when he first got down, like in that first drive, and he was holding that area that he injured. I was like, oh. But then he seemed to find out it got to a thing. I don't know if it's one of the things where we work it so much that it gets numb and you're like, okay, it settles in and you're good to go. I think you still leave him out on an island, especially early on in the game, just to test him out. And then if it doesn't, then you start to see him chip a little bit more with those running backs. They still may chip him no matter what, just to get into Bosa's head and try to get him, throw him off a little bit. But I'm not so much worried as of yet. I think the first 10 plays, the first 10 pass rushes is going to be a good tell to see like if he can be able to handle it. If not, the fact that this team has not had to shift over to worry about their tackles all season. Now you have to switch.
Do they know how to help their tackles? That's why they never help their tackles. Do they know how to help their tackles?
Yeah. I'm looking there. I'm like, if that doesn't happen, it's gonna be a long day, especially coming from that front side. Because we all know quarterbacks when they see the pressure, cool. As much as cool, calm, collected, Jalen's been throughout the three. Every quarterback sees pressure going, like, you know what? Yeah, I think I might set up a little bit and force them to run. So that's one of the good matchups. I'm worried more about the 49ers trying to bring pressure around Landon Dickerson's side and bring an inside pressure, test him out, because he's been pretty banged up. And we saw him leave out early on. So I don't know if they could try a couple more inside blitzes or those elaborate stunts to try to get some pressure inside that way.
Matchups are going to be a key in this game on Sunday. I think we all agree on that. And we'll be breaking them down for the next 4 days. Let me put this one to you. Who's the better tackling team?
To me, it's still the 49ers. I still see some times where the Eagles have issues where they meet them in the hole. Even when it takes 3 or 4 times. We saw so many times when Saquon Barkley was running up the middle, you need like 2 or 3 guys, 3-4 guys to try to slow up the progress. And listen, we all know Saquon Barkley is one of the better running backs in the league and stuff like that for it. But wait till you get to Christian McCaffrey as well, too. And that's what leads to a little worry about that 49ers offense as well, too, because these guys going to get in the open field. You miss one tackle, next thing you know, you're seeing a bunch of Eagles chasing the guy down the field 60 yards. And so I still think the 49ers are a better tackling team, in my opinion, but the Eagles better use that orange donut a lot this week and try to get some last-minute preparation because it's going to be tough.
It is interesting because early in the season, I was talking about it. If you use PFF, I mean, the Eagles were like at the bottom of the NFL. Started week 1, Detroit. They had a terrible tackling performance. And they were like bottom 5 and then all of a sudden, second half of the season, they tightened up. And I think they ended up 14th. So in the top half of the tackling teams, but number 1.
Where are the 49ers?
Oh, number 1.
Yeah.
49ers are number 1. They are the best tackling team in the NFL. Yeah, that's a concern because for two reasons. One, San Francisco is very sure they're going to tackle people. But 2, what San Francisco has on offense, it's all yak guys. It's all, Debo and Ayuk and Kittle and McCaffrey and even Mitchell. These are all guys who make a lot of hay after they get the football. To me, that probably decides the winner of this game. I know San Francisco is going to tackle well. If the Eagles tackle well, they have a good chance to win this game. If they don't, they're going to get beat. That to me is everything in this game.
And they've taken the old West Coast offense approach, and who would have thought? Yeah, that's why. Like when you look at the way they try to put Purdy in a position to move that ball, it's all basically 5 to 10 yards.
Yeah,
and
all
they try to
over
do
the middle.
slants with that. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's to make it high percentage throws, and you disrupt that, you stop it. Good luck. They get frustrated.
I'm going to make an early prop bet for you, Chris. You can run with this. I'm going to guarantee a CJ Gardner-Johnson interception.
Ooh.
Middle of the field, Brock Purdy not afraid to go there.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. There ain't a better playmaker. He's licking his chops. Throw it over the middle.
I could see that. I can really see that. I could also see Slay getting off the schneid too. It's going to be one interception this game because they don't turn the ball out. I can see there is going to be one interception this game that Purdy throws.
All right. Know that Jonathan Gannon is going to do his best to not tip his hand. And I actually think Gannon's pretty good at this, at feigning different type things. Unfortunately, he did that on 3rd and 30 against the Cowboys, too. That's the one time it didn't work at all. But who's going to end up covering George Kittle most? Who on the – and I know it's going to be a lot of zone, but then you have to figure out the zone responsibility when the ball leaves Purdy's hand and it's going toward Kittle. Who's going to be in coverage on Kittle the most this week?
I'm going to go off the board and say Avonte Maddox. And that's without any injury and any speculation. I think he's going to be back. And with Kittle in the slot in that one too. So that's why it's going to be important for him to get position on him because – he's giving up the size for sure, but he makes up for that by making sure he's in the right position to go make a break past the PBU. So I'm gonna go say it's him, and then he's going to have CJ Gardner-Johnson up top to support him.
I think it's going to be a bracket situation. But what I don't want to see.
Can you afford to bracket the tight end when the other team has McCaffrey, Debo Samuel?
That's the problem. That's the problem, Jody. This is a difficult. This is sort of like what the Eagles fans don't realize what opponents have to deal with Brown and Smith. And this is the same thing. The Eagles got to deal with this. And if you try to take away one, the other's going to bite you. But what I don't want to see is Kaiser White carrying George Kittle 30 yards down the field. If I see that sort of Derek Brooks Tampa 2 style, that's not going to work out well for the Eagles.
I think he might be, when they go that dime, I think they may try to use McCaffrey a little bit more on that one, try to speed him up, or if they keep saying nickel and try to get the ball to him that way and receiving, maybe try to get TJ Edwards to try to get them to get the matchup against TJ Edwards and try to attack the edges that way too. These running backs, there could be a lot of checkdowns. These running backs will play a big role in the passing game on both sides. Is coming up.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, what the Eagles got to do is affect the quarterback. I'm going to disrespect Brock Purdy again. Yeah, I mean, you can't deal with Kittle and Samuel and McCaffrey and Ayuk. You got to get the quarterback.
Yeah,
you got to get the quarterback. You got to speed up.
They got the guys to do it. They led the league in sacks. Probably not over Trent Williams' side because arguably the best left tackle in all of football. Sorry to say, Mulati, you haven't gotten there yet. Haven't caught Mr. Williams yet. You may someday, but you haven't yet. Who's going to be the guy who's going to get the other side? Because they move guys around on the defensive line, but if you had to look specifically at the matchup, Eagles pass rusher against the vulnerable side of the 49ers offensive line, who's going to be the guy who's going to get Brock Purdy off his mark and get a sack or two?
Reddit or McKitchney. That's the one I'm thinking. Like if it's almost like you're playing chess. You have to sacrifice, and it's not a slight at all any means of Josh Sweat, because I think he's the one to play right, and he'll get his rushes against there. I'd rather have Josh Sweat going against Williams, and then you have that matchup with Reddick going against McKitchney around the edge and affecting his blind side, because I think he can get a strip sack potentially out of that as well too. Or you force him to move up, move around, affect them that way. I think that's because if you just put Reddick on Williams best on best, all right, that's cool. I think Sweat can still, if you put Sweat to the left side, he might go on the right, but you put Sweat on the left side, he can still. I think he can beat McKitchney, but I think Reddick can be more effective off of that side instead of
I would agree.
I'm with you, Chris, because nothing against Josh Sweat, as you said, but you're basically a sacrificial lamb going against Trent Williams, and that's anybody in this league.
Yep.
I can see this. I'm sorry.
And Hassan Reddick has the ability to, I think, speed rush. That's what McGlinchey has a problem with. It just makes sense. One of the best speed rushers. And Davis Webb was the one who said it. He in that week 18 game, he said Fletcher and Brandon were talking a lot of what about trying to get the sack record. And he said Reddick didn't say anything. He was the scariest one. He was just chasing him down. And he said he was the scariest one. Hassan Reddick is the scariest Eagle pass rusher. So let him go. Let him go against Mike McGlinchey.
Or if you want to do as well too, we saw this game plan before he got hurt. You blitz off the side in the slot. You get that cornerback. You try to force Williams to go out that way, and that way you basically have 5-on-5. You get Sweat to go against possibly a guard or running back, what have you, just to weigh that way. You probably that's the way you get pressure on the left side as well too. So maybe we see Jonathan Gannon dial that one up too.
All right, last thing for you two tough guys who go down and attend the game every single week and fight traffic to get there, and then get fed by the Philadelphia Eagles and sit in a nice comfort enclosed press box.
It's a tight press box, by the way.
At 71 degrees. Oh, by the way, it could be 50 at kickoff on Sunday. As of now there's 6 days out on a 7-day forecast, but no precipitation in the 50s. Are the Eagles, is Mother Nature doing the Eagles a disservice this week by not bringing some winter weather against a Northern California? They haven't played a weather game all year long. San Francisco 49er team coming in. Is Mother Nature going, yeah, I'll give you a beautiful day. Eagles deal with it.
It's been used to it. The way I'd be more worried if it's the other way around with everything that's going out in California lately, with all that wind and all that rain and everything that the 49ers had to deal with. And now you see what's going on here. I think it'd be the other way around, quite honestly. But I look at that. I think they'll still be fine no matter what. I think it actually benefits the Eagles a little bit more, because I think if it gets inclement in that way too, you have to run the ball. And then we talked about what the way these 49ers have done with the run defense. So the fact it's a beautiful day.
So Mother Nature is doing Eagles a solid. I like your
I think the Eagles would rather have a nice day too. The Eagles are explosive too, so I think they like it. And you go back to last year, San Francisco beat Green Bay in a weather game. You go back to yesterday, Cincinnati, as you mentioned, beat Buffalo in the snow game. Now Cincinnati's not Shangri-La, as you pointed out, but nonetheless, I don't like weather games because it affects both teams. And when you're explosive, you want to be able to do what you do on offense. And the Eagles are pretty stinking explosive. So I like nice weather for the Eagles.
And that looks like what you're going to get on Sunday. Chris Franklin, thank you very much for doing your usual Monday thing with us. We will shortly have you back next Monday. Win, lose, and no draw, no tie. Just win that coin flip so you can defer next Sirianni. if it gets to overtime. Hopefully that's the case because it'll be a great show next Monday. It's always good when we got UCF. Thanks, bud.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all. Have a good one now.
Thanks,
that is Chris Franklin. He's such a
NJ.com, by the way. Make sure you read Chris at C Franklin News on Twitter.
Is Franklin too happy?
He's always happy.
That's what I mean. The guy is never in a bad mood. He never gets ticked off about anything.
Yeah,
he's always got a smile on his face. What the hell is that all about?
He's a good dude. He's a good dude, man.
He's a very good dude. And he's good with us when he comes on. John McMullen Jody McDonald coming back. We need to put a